Welcome everybody to our audio commentary for How to Beat Volume 1. And as you can see, it's been modified from its original version. We formatted it to 4x3.
Yeah.
This is the only time, except for in the scroll here, that the My Life in Gaming logo or mention of it appears.
Right. I mean, we're not supposed to let you know that this is actually something we made. It didn't. It wasn't just a VHS tape box that was dropped off at our door.
Yeah. The whole entire point of this was to make it as close to the real thing as possible, as if it really existed in the 80s.
Right.
Or maybe early 90s. Or more late 80s, I think.
Right. And we've seen a lot of comments that are like, this is great because you're not like going out of your way to make like jokes or like make fun of the 80s or anything like that. Like, we're just kind of playing it straight, or at least we're trying to.
Yeah. That was always our intention with this series, was to play it as straight as humanly possible.
Right.
This whole beginning sequence is new, since they only go up with, we'd only release one at a time. All this stuff was not needed. So I created this to be as close to the game player's game tape.
It's really close. This is actually the first time that I've seen the finished tape product.
Yep. I hope we don't notice anything that's like horribly wrong during this.
I was pretty proud of how accurately that backloggery logo mimics the actual game player's logo.
Yeah, you made that logo?
Yeah.
So did you have to make each letter like its own layer, and then you just like switched
I just got
order?
a font that was pretty close. It's not exact, but it was pretty close.
The backloggery strategy video cassette is full of hints.
And this whole voiceover is completely new, just exclusive to this tape. I mean, this is pretty close to the real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a screenshot up of the game player game tape and just made it.
How to beat the angry video game nerd.
And we had to make new intro slates because it was
Oh no, the nerd and his friends were playing a
it was not fitting in a 4x3 aspect.
Right.
So I just made something that would work better in a format like this.
Later episodes, I made everything that wasn't game footage 4x3, so it would have worked with those. But early on, we didn't put the pillar boxes on the sides.
Yeah.
I mean, because the reasoning is that we don't want to cut off important things that were in the game.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
For the VHS, we kind of had to, so it's interesting to see how it works in this format.
Yeah, I had to move the screen back and forth a little bit here and there to get information. Well, we didn't lose the character too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to kind of, you'll notice that everything is slightly letterboxed. Like, you can kind of see a little bit cut off on the top and bottom.
Well, I think that's okay, because, I mean, a lot of 4x3 content actually does have that if you see into the whole overscan area.
Right.
Pick up the gremlin power-up.
This is actually the probably 55th time I've seen this.
Disappearing blocks. Classic.
This was, I want to say it was the fourth one that we did. The fourth or fifth one.
Yeah, it was pretty early on.
I wrote it over Thanksgiving break of 2013.
Right, and I remember the day that, well, not the day we record, to back up a little bit, something was wrong with some of the audio for this one, if I'm not mistaken.
Something was wrong with the what?
The audio? You remember?
Oh, yeah. Later on it comes up when we had to get the voiceover guy to re-record stuff, and he had to do it in your car.
Right. It was kind of funny because it's funny because tomorrow is a backloggery marathon, and this was actually just before a backloggery marathon, and I had no time to get you this audio, basically.
That's right, because you were driving, right?
I was driving, and so I stopped by our voiceover guy's office. I brought an audio recorder with me, which obviously sounded quite a bit different than what we normally recorded on. And so I just got this on my way out of town to get to the marathon, and when I got there, then I uploaded the files to you. But that was actually kind of what was always fun, I think, about the how to beat, because it was okay if things were kind of bad. Like if the audio didn't sound quite right, if it didn't quite match up, that's okay.
Yeah, if things were misspelled, like, I mean, there's so many times where we say watch, like right here, the voiceover says watch, this takes perfect timing, and then he immediately gets hit.
Yeah, like it was really freeing that, like, part of the point is it is bad. I mean,
yeah,
we put so much work into these, but at the end of the day, if there was something that was kind of bad, then that just adds to it, really.
Yeah, exactly.
But he can see hidden blocks with his invisovision.
Exactly. I had to play through this game on easy because it was very difficult to get done in the allotted time that I had for it.
I like that invisovision.
Yeah.
What did you call the beer bottles? I forget.
Oh, yeah, I call them elixirs.
Elixirs.
Well, the whole point is to make it as family friendly as possible.
Right. This game definitely is not. I mean, I haven't played it, but
a lot of the parts where I had to do the pan and scanning movement was on these flying sections. You'll see it kind of move back into place once the transition happens. Oh, actually, right there, I could cut it.
Now
So right here is like probably one of my favorite things about it, is that this is me and my brother in, I want to say, 1987. And I thought of this idea one day. I couldn't think of a way to make the nightclub segment not porno. So how did I do it? Like, I made it so that somebody had taped over the tape.
Right.
And I had this tape, like, my brother and I recorded it over the course of a summer. And we get in a fight on it, and it's like always been kind of legendary, like growing up between my friends and me. This is kind of a way that we could like immortalize it.
Right.
And then it comes back, and it's like then that whole segment that I was worried about is over. So it's like a perfect way to avoid that.
I like how his name is Bees Man.
Yeah. Well, I just imagine at the time, you know, like it would have been like he's BS man or bullshit man.
Right.
And like I just felt like seeing the BS man in the instruction manual would be just like a capital B with a lowercase s.
Right.
See, right here is where you can hear the audio.
Yeah.
Is different.
But like I think that's something that's sort of lost on newer games, especially because we've got voiceover and stuff. Like, everyone knows how to say things, and, you know, translations are much more polished. And I kind of miss the days of where we didn't really know what this stuff was.
Right, exactly.
Your limited range of vision and disappearing blocks will be your greatest foes in this haunted mansion. Don't be a punk and take...
And, you know, everyone kind of had their own way of saying different things in games.
Throughout this... Like, I know that there's a lot of cameos in this game, and I wasn't able to find a lot of them. So I always try to kind of reference them in the voiceover when I knew that they were there when I didn't show them. Like, on this level, there's Pat the NES Punk is a hidden character, but I never found him during my playthrough. So I just like kind of reference, like, don't be a punk and miss this. So that's kind of how I was able to reference him without actually showing him. Whether or not people actually ever catch that is who knows, but that was my whole intention.
Right. If I'm not mistaken, this game got a Wii U port recently, right?
Yes.
And is that the only console it's available on?
I think it's coming to the 3DS soon as well.
Really?
But that's it, yeah. Which is weird, kind of.
It is weird, but you know, a lot of these sort of retro throwback games, you know, they can find a pretty decent audience on Nintendo systems. Though I think this one might be a strange choice for that.
Beastman has a much easier
Yeah,
time jumping
I think
over the
so.
spinning
Like, I
ball
mean, you know, Shovel Knight going to the Wii U first. I mean, it just kind of fits.
Take your time
Yeah,
and
like
run into
Shovel
it.
Knight makes sense.
And it did
definitely
really
makes
well. I mean, not being on any other consoles at the time. I mean, it was on PC, but still.
Use Beastman to two
I like all the little references, like you got the Majora's Mask moon in the
Yeah.
background.
The two jump also comes in handy while riding the
The two jump.
Watch out for the ghosts.
Yeah, because, like, it was so weird. Like, I
And everything else. He is
somehow
running
went
between
through
skull blocks.
the 8 and 16-bit generations.
I'm kind of losing you.
Use the nerd's rocket
Say what?
to clear the hallway.
I don't know if I can hear you that well.
Once you come
Oh.
out the other side, the platforms will start
I was
to
hearing you
crumble.
very well for a while there.
Was it?
Watch
Is it
Jekyll and
internet
Hyde.
connection?
That's a little bit
issues?
better. I don't know if it's because the game is so loud or what.
The game is loud.
We're-
But anyway,
There we go, that's better.
I forget what I was saying. Oh yeah, I somehow made it through the entire 8 and 16-bit generation without playing a game that had like a double jump.
Guitar guy's gun with little effort.
Like I remember
Shooting
getting I think it was Circle of the Moon when the Game Boy Advance launched.
I can't hear you. You might have to, I don't know what's going on.
Grab the elixir.
Is the audio just too loud?
I don't know if it's getting drowned out because of if it's getting confused by the audio.
Here, but we recommend Beastman.
I'm gonna try turning it down a little bit. Is that okay if I turn it down a
Yeah,
little bit more?
yeah.
Okay.
See this block? The blocks with the angry faces are deadly and will shoot spikes if you touch them. They can be very difficult.
All right, let's
to
try
shoot, so
that.
be careful.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can hear it enough.
Climb the waterfall by jumping from
Yeah, and you know what? We don't really need to hear it that much.
Right.
Comes in handy.
We've seen it enough. Actually, but I think this is like the first time that we've really
Time your
like
jumps
viewed
and
this kind of
avoid
stuff
bouncing
together
Yeah,
at the
it
same
is.
time.
Grab the
That's
elixir
fun.
and get to the top.
But anyway, I was saying, like, I don't know how I made it through the 8 and 16-bit generations without coming across a game with a traditional double jump.
Switch to guitar.
Yeah,
So you have
it's
this
kind of
speed on your
interesting.
side.
Like I never
Don't
really
hurt.
thought about it
You
that
might
much.
get hurt, though.
Like, I mean, for a lot of people, I think it was pretty standard. And of course, in all the games I've gone back and played since then, it's like actually very common in those days, but it just wasn't in the games that I played. So when I played Circle of the Moon on Game Boy Advance, this was like kind of a novel concept to me. I was like, whoa, I can jump again in midair.
Yeah.
This.
So I like the idea that we called it two jump. That's
Anything you face so far.
Yeah, because it wasn't.
wasn't
like,
really
I don't
a-
feel like the name double jump would have existed
it
then.
wouldn't have been established all that well established. Yeah, like some people might have called it that. I mean, obviously people were calling it that because it became the thing eventually. But back then, like I'm sure people had lots of different names for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I never thought of it as a double jump
Guitar guy's
until
extra speed is the best way to make it through these
I feel like the
flashing
internet.
skull blocks.
Yeah, like I mean, now like the things that we call game mechanics are sort of homogenized now. But back in the day when we weren't all
The
connected,
game is hitting you.
you know, who knows what we called them.
This part can take several tries. You can do it.
You can do it. That's when we don't actually have any legitimate tips to give.
Yeah. Well, this was. I actually played through this a second time to get the footage because I wasn't happy with my playthrough of it the first time.
That's some dedication.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll see I'll have to slide the screen here
Guitar guy's ability to shoot through walls will come
to
in
keep them
handy
on
here.
screen.
Good luck.
I mean, you put a lot of work into like remastering this whole thing. Like you went through every shot and made sure it was like framed up decently enough and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes it
Introducing
doesn't.
the
Oh.
Oh, here's.
VMU.
This is the actual. Here's GameSack with their VMU commercial. This was actually seeing this is what gave me the idea to have commercials. I said that would be awesome, just having like fake commercials in between. And I asked Joe Redifer if we could use this, and he was like, "Yeah, sure." So that kind of got the ball rolling with the whole idea. That's my favorite part, is the whole running across the street.
You can even join two Sega VMUs together for electrifying.
I like it's like all pretty generic, but then you get like the sparks, so it's like super like well done.
Not to wet yourself.
But it was definitely an honor to like have them let us use that. I mean, I think that it's probably both of our favorite YouTube show.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So right here is the Shovel Knight segment, which was like our biggest success, I think, when it came to
Easily.
this.
Yeah.
And this was like before we even started this series, we knew that this was one that we were going to do.
Right, like it may have even been the first idea we had. Like, we were just like, this game is too perfect for it. And like, it was always a priority to get right to this as soon as it was released. Now, this was before they had shipped out the instruction manuals. So I printed out a few pages from the online manual and just stapled them together. Now here, when I was typing this, I had absolutely no idea that I had run into the limit when I was typing, so my name ended up being Backloggy.
But it's funny, you can see...
Oh, you did a little shift there.
Yeah, this is one I definitely had to do some of the most on. And, you know, like it gets sloppy here and there. It definitely does get sloppy, but there's not a lot we can do. Like for instance, when you fight the bosses, I had to zoom everything out because the screen would be pan and scanning left and right, like crazy.
It's a single screen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't zoom out too much, but I definitely do a little bit.
But it was, you know, we had never released a video so close to release.
Yeah. It was like a priority. Like you were...
Right. Like I played through the entire game the day it came out. I was actually out of town and I brought my computer with me. Just so I could play through the game and record it. And then I spent like the next 2 days writing it. And we got this out within like, I don't know, a week and a half of the game's release? Or something like that?
Yeah, it was pretty... It was pretty quick.
It was fast, and we knew it would because the game was getting lots of positive attention, and we just knew it would get. But the biggest honor, and I think one of just the craziest things that's happened throughout the whole My Life in Gaming thing, is that Nintendo, the Nintendo of America account, tweeted this video.
Yeah, I mean, we could not believe.
Like their web presence tends to be a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of sterile and overly manicured, and you know,
yeah,
they're very careful, and they just don't really reach out to fans.
Like the fan communities.
Yeah, they don't really directly reach out to fans or tweet out fan-made materials. And so it was just very surprising to see them give it that kind of attention. And yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like, that wasn't even where we got the most attention for the video. Like, I think that came from Kotaku. But Nintendo giving it recognition was, like, huge, I think.
Yeah, that was, like, the best part. But it also got us, like, a lot of other YouTubers were very excited to see it, too.
Right. And to be honest, like, you know, this is the best performing How to Beat.
Yeah, it continues to be.
And yeah, and was our biggest video until RGB 101, and I think it's still the second highest video, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I thought this video turned out pretty good, but it's actually, I mean, I didn't think, like, in terms of the work that I did on writing it, like, I didn't think it was that amazing. Like, I thought it turned out good, but, like...
It doesn't, like, really have a hook like the other ones tend to.
Right. The hook is just that the game itself is so perfect for it.
Right.
And so, yeah, like, I personally didn't feel super strongly about, other than the fact that the game was just a really good fit.
Right.
And that's why it did so well. But we'll later get to what my personal favorite one that I've done is. Now, something that I don't think we have mentioned yet is that what we're watching right now is, I believe, the extended cut of this episode.
Right.
So,
here are a few freeze frames to give you an idea of how
I mean, the script just ended up being so long because I really wanted to cover, every level, and I didn't, when you're writing stuff, it always seems like it's going to be shorter than it really is.
Yeah.
And it just ended up being so long. Like, how long is this extended cut?
I believe it's 19 minutes.
Yeah, it was almost 20 minutes, and like,
And that's like longer than Knack is like the longest one.
oh gosh, and that was way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long.
So you cut out like almost 6 minutes.
Yeah,
of this.
a lot. Like, because even when we started the series, we didn't want any, like, originally we were thinking that they'd be like 10 minutes or less.
Yeah, and we managed to be pretty close to that generally, like around 12 minutes. I think is probably the average length.
Right. So, but it was just way too long. We thought we'd lose people's attention. So we cut out a lot and thought, well, the extended cut is good. We'll do something with it someday. And we thought about releasing it when, like, the PS3 and PS4 versions, well, not just those, I guess it released on all the systems. But we thought about releasing it when that happened, but we thought, that's just going to clutter the channel and divide the viewership, and so this was a perfect opportunity to actually bring that out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool that we held on to it. I'm very happy that we held on to it.
Yeah. Plague Knight's my favorite boss in the game.
Really?
Yeah, I like his. Mainly, I like his level music. He's got a cool design. His level track was one of the two tracks that I can never remember exactly what her name is. Manami Matsumai or whatever it is.
Right, the Mega Man composer.
The Mega Man 1 composer. This is one of the two tracks that she composed. Not the boss fight, but the level theme. And also for Treasure Knight's level as well. Those were the two that she did.
Really?
Yeah, and I was kind of proud of myself for actually identifying which ones they were.
You kind of just had a feeling.
I just guessed, and man, I died so many times bouncing off of stuff and then into the spikes.
The Invisials, as you call those.
Invisials.
That's like one of my favorite names. Since I've seen this so many times, since I had to lay it off the tape one at a time, like there's certain things that I would just pick up and I'd hear every time.
Invisials.
And Invisials is one of them. I love it how excited the narrator is when when Chester comes out of this chest. And he's what does he say? He gets like so excited.
Yeah, I sometimes I have to reel him in quite a bit.
Yeah, but this time it like works really well.
I'm looking forward to hearing it because I don't remember it all.
He's so excited.
But it may be easier to just avoid them.
Here we go.
Oh, it turns out Chester was there all along.
Just how he says, "Oh!"
But yeah, I couldn't believe that I was able to. The funny thing about it, though, I was like, I bet the two tracks she composed were Plague Knight and Treasure Knight. And when I found out it was true, I was surprised because then I looked it up. Because the reason I thought was because those tracks made me think of Chip and Dale. And I thought, oh, I bet, she also did the soundtrack for Rescue Rangers.
Really? I didn't know that.
But no, I looked it up and she didn't. But that was the reason. That was the reason that I thought it must have been her because it made me think of those games so much.
Let's dig in.
Let's dig in. I think that for me, I think this is the least interesting level. Maybe. I don't know if it's the level or if I just don't like Mole Knight himself that much. I don't know. I mean, not that it's bad, but I mean, I just don't think it holds my interest as well as the other levels and other bosses.
Right.
Did you ever beat this?
Oh yeah.
Because I remember you were like, busy or out of town or something when it came out. And I remember you got the 3DS version just so you could like.
Right. My mom was having surgery, I believe, that time, and I was traveling. And I had the code for the Wii U version from the Kickstarter, but then I was like, I'm just gonna buy the 3DS version because I want to play it now.
And make it bouncy. Be quick.
Make it
The effect
bouncy.
only lasts for a few seconds. Watch out, Shovel Knight.
It's I can't even tell you which ones are ones that were added, or like they were not in the YouTube version. I don't even know what segments are anymore.
Mole Knight begins the battle by blasting himself.
I like that slowdown I used on those blocks.
This is a great opportunity
Yeah.
to gain some extra hits. Next, he throws walls of dirt at
We try to like.
concentrate on destroying these.
It's almost like you use your slow motion controller on
Yeah,
it.
well, you do a thing in one of the episodes where
Yep.
where you actually have the ding 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 ding.
Because
at the
that's like one of the
pause.
things in the tapes.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about when we get to it, but
I watched one of the. I bought one of the tapes. I found it at a store a few months ago, and I watched the whole thing. And at the very end, there were.
it's for Amagon probably. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think that was the one.
Because two of them on those old
Almo-
tapes did the slow motion thing. It was
Almost-
Amagon and Thundercade.
Yeah, and it was almost constant. Like
Yep,
it was.
they played the whole game with slow
It
motion.
was so obnoxious.
Yeah.
This strange frozen statue spews out temporary
I
rainbow
like the
vision
worst
for Shovel Knight to
use of the
follow.
word spew, too. This frozen statue spews out rainbow-colored whatever.
Parts of the stranded ship can be tricky to master, so plan your pass carefully.
I liked
is
how it
hiding
left
out in
behind
Hollow
your
Knight's
money,
lair,
and
just
if you could
behind
get
this wall
back
to the left.
there, you got your money
Right, that you
back.
could pick it up
Yeah,
again.
it's
He'll
kind
sell
of
you a
like
warhammer, which sends out a mighty blast all around.
I don't know if it's entirely fair to compare it to Demon Souls or whatever, but same concept. If you can get back to where you died, then you get back everything you lost.
Yeah.
Which I really like the concept behind that because as difficult as people say games like Dark Souls are, or heck, people say Shovel Knight's hard. I feel like that's a very fair thing of the game to ask you. Like all you have to do is do at least as good as you did the last time, and
Right.
you don't lose anything. Like I think I really conceptually.
One of the
I really
this
like it.
definitely has like one of the most balanced thing. Like you can make it harder if you want to
Right.
with the destroying of the checkpoints. It's just smart. It's just a smart design.
Right. And I completely trusted the development team because I love Way Forward so much, and I can't wait.
Yeah,
to,
but
I can't
I
wait.
think it turned out better than anybody thought.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely had high expectations, but yeah, it's unbelievable.
Rats are a lot like Plague Knight's plague rats, but they die
Tinker
alone
Knight,
you instead.
actually, Tinker
Once
Knight
they
might be my.
destroy.
Tinker Knight's the best boss fight.
Yeah,
Like,
just because it makes me really think of like later Mega Man games when you get these huge sprites.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely.
Behind the wall to the
I-
left, you'll find Chester.
I mean, I really like Plague Knight's design, but as far as the actual boss design goes, I think Plague Knight plays the best.
Tinker Knight is shorter than you imagine. He runs about
And it's funny because he's like not big and then he becomes enormous.
Yeah, like it's almost like a wild.
I really love the background too. It was just black and you could see his like overhead light
Tinker Knight has a second
lighting up his
jump on the larger missiles.
This boss,
His workbench.
It took me a lot of tries to finish. Like,
I remember him being pretty tough too.
Like once I show exactly how to do it like really easily in this clip. Like I got it really figured out, but at first it just took me a while to see the pattern.
Yeah.
The drill spins so fast that you'll fall off it if you don't jump quickly.
But later in the fight, it becomes a lot tougher, if I remember right, to actually get back on top.
It's possible
And the boss rush later, I was like, are they just going to skip this part? Because there's just no way. They don't skip it.
To finish this exciting boss battle.
this exciting boss battle.
It's very windy
This is my
outside,
favorite
which
music in
means
the
you'll have
game.
a tough time jumping against the wind.
It's probably
And this is actually he composed this and wrote this entire track like during a live stream.
yeah, I remember that. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched some of it. My favorite track that Jake Kaufman did is the first level.
Behind the dark blue wall.
Like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
intro.
Well, I mean, it's iconic sounding.
Yeah. And the first level of the Enchantress's tower is also really good.
Don't be touching the ground when the slam ship pounds into the ground.
Don't be touching the ground.
The slam ship.
As you climb this ladder, fall back down to get
It's just so fun to come up with really dumb names for stuff.
Yeah, you've always been really good with that.
Called the propeller dagger.
Like sometimes it's kind of stretching it a bit, but like I say, it doesn't actually have to be legitimately good.
Yeah.
Now the wind is
As long as it doesn't, sound.
I feel like making up names for enemies is like a Nintendo Power kind of thing.
Right, like
and then quickly
I
jump
mean,
to the gap.
people didn't really know what enemies were called or what things were called. Like, people made up stuff. Magazines made up stuff. These tapes, I think, made up stuff because they just didn't have the official information.
Right.
Into the air and then defending himself from
I like that you call them the gyroscopic
Gyroscopic
jester. Yeah.
I think they might use. I think they might use that word in the text when they talk to each other or something. I might have been borrowing from that. Oh, here we go.
The Tower of Fate. I love that background.
Yeah.
Patience is a virtue on these moving floors.
This level I thought was very difficult.
And instead head for every safe point.
I think I had more trouble with the second level and the last levels.
Out in the acid rain, where everything is turned black. Some platforms are magical.
It's kind of like a Donkey Kong Country Returns kind of thing.
Now
right
here
there.
you can kind of see like some video compression. Like even when you're looking at after we put it through the VCR, like you could see when I zoomed in that tight, like it wasn't entirely authentic looking.
Well, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You've reached the top, only to drop in on the Order of No Quarters dinner. This fight is the ultimate test of
Oh, did I think I might have skipped the second level.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I might have not shown anything of it.
Oh, wow. I like that you call it wall meat, even though it's clearly not wall meat in this game.
I thought that one was stretching it a bit, but yeah.
Don't use shovel drop recklessly against the Enchantress. You'll need that.
You know, no one believes me when I say that I beat this in one try.
Really? You beat the last boss in one try?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
I mean, I had like
lot.
the Triple King's stuff.
I didn't use the Triple King like at all in my
You
playthrough.
can stand in the flames to not fall into
Yeah,
the
like-
pit, but they hurt.
I mean, hey, I've got the recording. I can prove
The
it.
Enchantress is destroyed, and Shield Knight is released.
Do you actually say on the recording, this is my first time playing it? No, not really, but-
Work together with Shield Knight to defeat the Enchantress.
Do you still have all that source footage?
Your main task is
I don't know, maybe not. I've got a backup drive now, but I may have
When
had to
Shield
delete
Knight
this. I
readies her
forget.
shield in midair, shovel bounce off it to hit the Enchantress.
This is like a great last boss. Like, that's a great plot twist,
When
too.
there's a barrage
Yeah.
of magic shots across the entire screen, stick with Shield Knight.
It's almost very, like, bullet hell-esque right there.
You know, I wouldn't really mind. I mean, whatever Yacht Club Games does next, like, part of me wants to see a Shovel Knight sequel, and otherwise, I mean, I'd love to see them do something new, but I think, like, a Shovel Knight, Shield Knight co-op game would be, like, so fun.
Shield Knight has returned.
Yeah.
Black Knight
Like, I think a lot of
and the
people
land
want
is
playable Shield Knight.
Shovel Knight couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be a while. So I had to cut off a... Oh, here's Game Dave with his commercial for Final Fantasy.
It was a while before I could tell what direction this was going.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna be lonely forever. Buck up, fella.
What?
The Nintendo Entertainment System has the last fantasy you'll ever need.
I don't understand.
Final Fantasy for the NES. An amazing
Except for the
adventure where the only friends
scale up
you'll
of the
need
thing is
are
like,
heroes
you can see like the black sides to it.
Uh,
Whoa, that's totally
Like I feel like it would have
cool.
been
with crisp
4x3 back then.
graphics and an
But I'm-
amazingly massive adventure.
doesn't matter.
You'll forget about Janet in no time.
I love how he's like moving like an action game.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy for the
I love the
Nintendo
electricity on the Nintendo.
Now, playing with
Did he do that final shot?
Yeah, I think he
Like, it
did.
kind of looks like something that would be from, an actual commercial back then.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
At the backlog.
So here's Wind Waker. Wind Waker was our first
Legend, your name is
like
Link.
big hit.
You're set to
It
Oh,
was
yeah.
like
magical high-definition journey across the
this
great
was like,
sea, filled with adventure.
even though we got some feedback, some good feedback from our first
Just what you need to have
for
your
our
life
DuckTales, which is our first video.
Let's begin.
But this one like kind of blew us away with how well it did, and it was a very like it was like a slow build up to that too.
Right, like about a week later, it got covered. It got picked up by Kotaku, which blew me away. But
Before that was on Zelda Dungeon. It started going up to like 20,000 or something,
Which,
like
I
not
mean,
20,000, but like 10,000 or
yeah, I
something.
mean, a fan site, but obviously very well read because we got thousands from that.
From there, it's not
Right.
far to the
Um,
where you are reunited with your sword.
It's a very unlikely game for this too,
Things don't go
for this
quite
format.
yeah, like
But you had a pretty clear vision, I think, when you were playing through of what you wanted to do.
I had a hard time cutting it down enough.
He can even
But I think I just kind of, hit the points that I thought were kind of fun to
here
cover.
at Windfall.
I had a lot of recording trouble with this one
Just what you need.
because I was having an issue where my audio
Here's an exciting
would
feature that won't
drift
be in the
out of
original
sync.
version of The Legend of
Mhm.
Zelda.
and it
Really?
yeah, and
The fast sale is available. at
there
the
were a
beginning
lot
the game,
of
and the
clips
auction
where
house
I
are
had to
all
just
out.
continually
Try raising your bid by
reshift
10 rupees more
the,
than competition for a chance to
the
start
audio because I feel like the audio is like sort of important to this
Fast sale
format.
automatically changes the
So it was a
direction of the
lot of
wind,
work to
and the
get
boat will move
synced
twice as
up
fast.
correctly.
How's that for convenience? The boat will soon
I mean, a lot of times
press the up
you can kind of get away with it, but sometimes you need specific like sounds,
Yeah.
especially on this one with the Wind Waker.
I thought
like the-
it was funny that I like specifically made it like this is the Wind Waker HD.
Right.
It's not just the
saying,
Wind Waker.
oh, it's going to be after we release the original version, then we'll release an HD version of it several years later.
Yeah.
Open wooden barricades like these.
I was playing hero mode when I played through it too, so
And that's hard mode, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're right
So,
on your nose.
enemies
In this
don't
case,
drop
Hunter
hearts.
Kargara, a man-eating
Oh, really?
yeah.
Well, that's an interesting challenge.
This tool is unlike anything you've ever experienced in a video game before.
Well, this is the first time in How to Beat that we used any live action
Seen through
footage,
his eyes in hero vision mode. Look around with
Yeah.
the joystick.
and it was before I bought any studio lights.
You can now
Yeah, but you're able to
and climb to new heights.
kind of do it in the dark. Oh no, I always loved how you got that shot with like the VCR and everything.
Yeah, like I just made this very small set using a lot of the random equipment that I've gotten to take from work.
Hangs from the ceiling and see what happens.
I had those old sunglasses on top.
Yeah.
You'll acquire the
I
magic.
don't remember.
It's very like it's a little much,
Yeah.
but it works.
Yeah. I don't remember what I used to get the light in that shot. I actually used my old mini DV camera for it.
Extremely weak to water. The magic leaf can do more than you might think. Use it while standing on the ground to send
Yeah,
out a
that-
gust of wind in the direction of the
I haven't done things quite like that again, but that was fun. Like I just really wanted, like because it's a Wii U game, I really wanted to show like the gamepad.
Yeah.
So I thought it was fun to try to shoot that live.
The magic leaf.
I have not played this game since it came out.
So
Even though I have this, but
you
I
have the
haven't.
HD version, but you haven't played it.
I do, yes.
On the Nintendo Entertainment System. But this
That's
boomerang
before you
has
got
been
your
improved. It can remember up to 5 targets before you throw.
RGB
Yeah.
Famicom too.
Switches at the
Yeah.
same time.
Well, of course, it didn't matter for recording this.
Right.
See how enemies react.
But it's just interesting because I can't remember not having the RGB NES.
I know it's when I record the RGB 202 stuff. Like I'm like, wow, really? Did composite look that bad through the Frame Monster? Like I remembered it not being great, but you know, hey, it wasn't. You know, I was able to tolerate
Be
it.
careful. You don't want to stay in there for too long.
This HD version looks like it has amazing lighting in it.
Yeah.
Your friend the boat can join you for party.
I like your friend the boat. Your friend the boat can join you this time. He's your friend, and he's a boat.
Yeah.
You don't have the best tool for destroying.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I cut down a lot of this one too.
He'll follow you.
There was.
Well, I mean, I know that once you get to the end, you're just like skipped over like the whole fight. Like you just say like you got to do the rest on your own, which is like very true to the original tapes too.
Oh, you mean at the end of the video where I don't have the actual final dungeon?
Right.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Oh yeah.
And that's because when I beat the game, my file got corrupted.
And watch how Link moves.
So you just like,
Yeah,
you're lucky it's only that part.
Yeah, I like really like.
Here's another tool.
I mean, I started recording when I went to the final dungeon and played the whole thing.
It will allow easier use of the joysticks for aiming.
And
Hero vision mode.
yeah, so I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Because my last save was like, you know,
exactly as much as one link.
I
Figure out how to set
I
the
guess I
buttons
could
so
have
that
gone
Link
back and
can
fought
really
Ganon,
learn
but I couldn't have done
his
anything
family.
else. So
Were before. Now they're no match for
Wow,
Link
can you
and
actually
Zelda.
play the whole game in first
You
person
should
like
be
that?
equipped with this
No,
tool.
that's just because I have the thing equipped.
Godon
Oh.
is the bully who
The
appears
arrow
in your
equipped.
statue frames in its house and
On
steals
Godon here,
You'll have to defeat
I
him if you want the only sword that can defeat his master.
I didn't originally write the line about Dodongo. He says just like Dodongo, Godon dislikes smoke.
Dislike smoke.
Right.
And
You run low on arrows, don't worry.
I did. It wasn't recorded originally, and then I thought of that line as I was editing it, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it because I thought, oh, that's just such a good reference to the original game. And I couldn't stop thinking about it, and so I asked our voiceover guy, would you record just one line for me?
Energy ball gains speed as it flies back and forth.
The fight with Ganon, that's like kind of a reference to like that's the classic kind of Ganon fight right there, right?
Well, it's actually Aghanim fight.
You might remember
Right, but it was Ganon in
Disguise, more or less.
While this version of the hammer
But yeah,
But I mean-
but then they adopted that fight for
can be used to pound pegs in.
Ganon and Phantom Ganon
At
in
the top,
Ocarina of
Link
Time.
is challenged.
Right.
I mean, they've done the back and forth thing a lot. I mean, they also reused it in Link's Awakening because you fight Aghanim's Shadow.
Once his mask is broken,
Oh, okay.
slash
That's right.
away.
I love the music of this fight. The Helmrock King, or I called him
You'll have to power
King.
up
I think I called him
the
King
sword
Helmrock in
before you can
this.
even stand a chance against
Like
Link.
I mean, not that that's funny, but I just little subtle mistakes like that, you know.
Right.
Defeat the wind frog. Talk to Link.
Oh, here's like a checklist of things that you need to do, but I don't actually.
Yeah, I had
tell
to
you how
pan and
do
scan it over so that they were in the screen
Objects.
here.
Find the iron
You can
weights
see
to be
more of
able to
your
walk against strong
life
winds.
bar than you can normally.
If you're ever lost while finding these things, feed the fishmen for some pro advice.
for some pro
The
advice.
fishmen.
Good. After learning the Earth spell for the Wind Waker, recruit Medley at Dragon Roost Island.
It's like I don't remember so much about this game.
I really liked
There's all kinds of things that
the
Medley
co-op
can do.
aspect
She can
of
glide over gaps
Dungeon
with a little
4 and
help from
5.
Link. She can carry Link to places that even the Magic Leaf can't.
Like, I would be way
Medley
into
can even
a...
fly. You'll have to cooperate.
I
with
mean, I know it's kind of
yourself to solve
controversial.
this
Like,
dangerous
people
puzzle.
don't
The
like
trick is
forced
yes.
co-op
Medley's harp
characters.
isn't
Because,
easy.
like, Resident Evil
Also,
5, for example, sometimes their AI isn't great. But when you actually do play games like that cooperatively, they're so fun.
How to use any
Right.
And I would...
But with a
I would be not at all opposed to a Zelda game where you have a partner the entire game. Like,
That would be interesting.
I mean, there's 4 swords, but that's different. Like I'm talking a game that is structured like a traditional Zelda game, but you can play co-op the whole time.
I bet you that would be a big hit. There'd be a lot of people would be upset about it at first.
But if you manage to pull together the people to do it, it'd be so much fun.
When Yahala is
Yeah.
stunned, use the power bracelet to lift him up and toss him into the spiked columns, smashing him into smaller ghosts. Quickly,
I always like this, like the swinging here, because it's the way it stops. It almost looks like it's glitching. This right here is like the shot that I used for the cover. For like the little link part, or the little screenshot.
And then recruit Link's old friend Makar.
The cover for the VHS was designed by my good friend Ricky Henry. He has a site called BitPop, and he does like a lot of cool like designs. And he kind of signed his own name on there by making the I'd be lost without it 5 stars quote.
Yeah.
Being from him. We're very thankful for his contribution.
Yeah, it looks
It came out great.
fantastic.
It retracts. It latches onto things. What a cool invention.
That's actually that line is taken straight from the text when you actually get the weapon.
Really?
The hookshot, yeah. I don't know. I said that the Hell of a King is my favorite boss music, but I think this one is. When I went to the Zelda Symphony in Atlanta, they played the Mulgera music, and the choir in the back. I don't know if you remember the music all that well, but it's like. They actually had the choir doing that.
Hidden throughout the Great Sea is a requirement for beating the game. 5.
Yeah, here's where I'm just like, it's up to you now. Well, like, where I really got that was my Super Mario Brothers 3 Nintendo Power Guide that I have. It's like in bits and pieces. I don't have the whole thing anymore, but I've got most of it. It doesn't tell you how to fight Bowser. It's just like, you're on your own from here.
Yeah, that's kind of a good way to do it.
That's where I got the idea. I mean, otherwise it's so thorough, though, but they won't tell you how to... They won't even show you Bowser.
This third commercial is by Boku no Eruption. He actually has this on his channel.
I gave it so willingly.
And
after all of these years, how...
I just liked it so much. I was so happy I was able to contribute this.
But what's a guy like me supposed to do?
Although his attire is very un-80s in it. There was actually a shot that I had him cut out because I thought it was too much for something like this, with a shot of him smoking a cigarette.
Well, it wouldn't be 80s anyway, because as we're going to see, the topic of this commercial is late 90s.
Sega Bass Fishing 2 for the Sega Dreamcast.
I like how she says, "Catch the big one." That's my favorite line.
Jump in your boat and motor around to find the perfect casting point. Hook the big one.
Oh, hook the big
So
one.
you can get to the real thing without getting wet. Oh, Sega Dreamcast.
My uncle was big into that game.
Really?
Yeah.
Miami. Tips and tricks from the game pros at the backlog.
Hotline Miami. This is probably my least favorite segment out of everything on this tape.
Really? I thought this was a good episode.
Like the thing that makes this episode is the rainbow scrolling level names.
Yeah. Now, something that we haven't brought up yet, and something that I'm very proud of, is that like that text right there, that is not made in Photoshop or Premiere or anything like that. That is using an authentic early 90s graphics generator going out S-video output into my recorder. And all we did the only thing about that was sort of modernized in the way we did it was I just put a blue background behind it that could be keyed out so that we didn't actually have to overlay it over the game, over the recording in real time.
Right. You'd actually send it out to your VCR or something, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Send the blue background.
I mean, it'd be pretty complicated the way that we would have to do it with today's technology, but it's just something that I've had because, you know, some of the old gear that would have just been thrown in the trash at work, like, you know, I think that kind of stuff is interesting. So I've just kind
And
of...
you kind of collect a lot of that
I kind of collect it.
anyways.
I collect old, outdated video stuff, mostly because I have a lot of opportunities to get it for free.
Yeah.
And that just happened to be one of them. When we started this series, I thought, whoa, I wonder if I could actually use that for real. I didn't have the power supply for it, but the power supply for my audio compressor had the same specs. It's a loose fit in the port, but it works just fine.
It gets the job done.
Yeah, so I should probably sometime get like a real power supply that would actually fit properly, but yeah, that's one of my favorite things about this whole series is that we actually do the titles like using real authentic technology.
Yeah, it makes the most sense. You know, and you might pick up this stuff and never use it, but I think you've picked up quite a few things that have come in handy for this
Oh yeah,
series.
like, well, I mean, all of that junk that I put in the backgrounds, you know, all that stuff is just all this old electronic junk that I've taken from work that they weren't going to use anymore. And in fact, like, I mean, not just in How to Beat, but even like, I use some of that stuff for the backgrounds in the latest episode that I edited, which was the Contra episode. That scene where I've got like the Contra games lined up and it slides by. The background I just put assorted old stuff back there. Like,
Yeah.
I just like to use that kind of stuff. It makes good props, but when I'm not using it as a prop, I have it tastefully laid out as a decorative item. Something funny about this episode. Corey had already played through the game.
Oh, right.
And I did a stream on the Backloggery, and I don't remember why exactly, but I recorded the game. I'm sure.
I think we wanted to do this video, and I
Right.
said, will you make it?
Right. Well, I can't remember.
Lure him in.
I can't remember if it was this idea in particular, or if you were just like, oh, hey, record it just in case.
Right.
So, but I didn't get through the whole game. So I had like half or more than half of the game recorded. So I handed that to Corey, and all he had to do to get the rest of the game was just replay the last, third of the game or whatever. So
Yeah, and then I
that
just
kind
picked up.
that kind of made it efficient. But the funny thing is that you were riding to my strategies, even if
Right.
you didn't really agree with it.
Yeah, but I don't think that, like, either... I'm sure that people that are really good at this game would think that the way we play it is just the worst.
And that's one of the fun things about the How to Beat series is that we just use our first playthrough. Well, you said you didn't for Angry Video
Yeah, but that
Gamer.
was just because I figured, like, better ways to say certain things, and I needed to show it better.
But we just use our first play. I mean, the series is called How to Beat, not How to Be Really Good.
Yeah.
So, bare minimum, what we did got us through to the end of the game. If you copy what we did, you're going to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was especially true with the Dark Souls 2 video. Like, first play, I'm not particularly good at the games anyway. I knew that one was going to be very divisive because...
And it was. I think that one has our least amount of, or most amount of dislikes.
Right, and I knew it would, and I was actually kind of looking forward to that because I wanted to just see if my prediction was correct because people get picky about how people play Dark Souls.
Yeah. And the point is, you don't have to be good.
Right, you don't have to be good, you just gotta get through the game.
Gotta finish it.
And
by whatever means necessary.
You know, I mean, some of the tips in these old videotapes aren't that great, you know? So that, you know, it's just so easy to make it work because it's not like you have to play all that well. I think this is the last level that I played.
Yeah, you can always tell when I
got
picked
to-
up
I got to-
because
did the
I say
hospital.
use this one mask that I use a lot throughout the game, and then as soon as I start playing, I say, oh, you should use this mask. On this one, I think that the music volume, I have it down a lot lower than I normally did because
Continue to sneak and escape.
I was afraid that if anything was going to get like a copyright hit, it would be this game. Because it's really well known for its music. And it seems like something. See, I say the dentist mask comes in handy on this level because this is where I start playing.
The bad guys will try to pincer
The bad guys. You tried to frame this up like you're a good guy.
Yeah,
Your best bet to defeat the corrupt police chief.
which the whole point of the game is like nobody's good. In this
Right,
game.
like, yeah, so you're calling them corrupt cops, and didn't you use like a different word for the actual bad guys, like,
Sneak around behind
all the
I'd
time,
say criminals,
Use your
thugs.
lock-on aim to fire through the glass
hooligans.
whenever you see the background.
I don't know if I say hooligans.
But I mean, you used a variety of words.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, for the repetitive nature of the game.
Gives you the address of the mastermind behind the whole conspiracy. It's time to gear up for
I like
the
that you
final
can't
show.
read any of the actual conversations here because so much of it is cut off.
You used a lot of different transitions in this one that you kind of
You'll
experiment
face a
with
couple
different
of heavy
ones.
assassins.
Yeah, well, I mean, visually, it's
They're
the
easily disposed of with your spread shot.
Most
it's
colorful.
yeah, it's visually the most like boring, I think, out of all of them.
Pet Panthers. Grab
Not that it's a
the
bad-looking
chalice.
game. I really love the style of the game,
The big boss
but
is
cutting
perfect
something like
assassin
this,
Quick,
there's just not a
throw the
lot.
chalice at him.
Not
What?
as much exciting stuff to look at.
Is this the part where you have the line repeat?
Yes.
Now he will begin to shoot his
Right here.
Vulcan cannon at
Listen.
you. Hide behind the fountain until you can leap out and pick up the daggers that his assassin dropped. Hide behind the fountain until you can leap out and pick up the daggers.
That was a total accident, but it's something that we love.
Because that kind of thing legitimately happened in these tapes. There's at least one example I know of where that happened.
Yeah, in the Mega Man 2
And
segment.
it's so funny. And
Yeah.
like, I love the fact that we're able to do something that really happened without in any way
Like intentionally doing it.
It's so funny.
Hey kids, are you sick and totally
Then this commercial is by 8-Bit Duke.
I actually haven't seen this one.
Even the easiest levels?
Oh, really?
No.
Well, we've got the solution for you. You need to up your game. with
This one
tools
actually
like
had
That's
a misspelling
Crush the final boss, beat your brother's scores, and you
in
can go
this.
third period.
Instead of the word period, he
Be afraid of you.
he spelled the word period wrong. So
Amazing substance.
he had to like re-export it,
Natural good ingredients.
and then he still like has a misspelling. Caffeine is spelled wrong
But you
here.
know what? Like, I think that's okay. Like, we could have kept the first misspelling too. I think, like, because that's the point. Like,
Duke's Game Fuel.
we're putting so much work and effort into these, but at some point, too much polish is not quite right.
Yeah, exactly. The idea of Game Fuel is distinctly like 2000s.
Yeah. But you know
How
what?
to
We've
beat Super
got
Mario 3D
we've
World
got
with friends.
a
Tips
late
and tricks from
'90s
the game
Sega
masters
fishing
at the
game in there.
Back
So
Right.
this is my favorite how to beat that I've done.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the best one.
And like, I mean, it's not the most popular. It's probably like what, the third or fourth most popular in terms of views.
I want to say it's probably third.
Like, this one got on Destructoid. I don't think it made Kotaku.
No, this one was on Kotaku.
Oh, well, yeah, well, you're right, it was.
Multi-tap sold
But-
separately. 3D glasses not required. Will you
That's your
to save Subcom once again?
3D.
But I was actually kind of dreading this one. Like, I felt like I had to make a how to beat out of this. Because this was another game that was a backloggery
If you
marathon.
played Super Mario Bros. 2,
and I recorded the game while we did the stream.
Speed and jumps are
And
Luigi's
I did have the whole thing, and I thought, I'm definitely going to do a how to beat on this. But then once we actually played through the game, like, I was really tired. I didn't sleep all that well the night before. And 4 players is just chaos. And to be entirely honest, like, the whole game was just kind of a blur for me. Like, I just had no idea what was going on. So many players. I was tired. It was crazy. And I didn't know if it was going to be all that good of a how to beat. Because, like, it was just chaos. And so that's when I got the idea, well, why don't, instead of, like so much talk about like things, the steps to beat the level or the steps to do this. Like I'm like, well, why don't I call it How to Beat Super Mario 3D World with Friends? And so the hook is kind of, we look at like all of the chaos that can happen, things to watch out for when playing with friends, or ways that they might help each other. And because we mess with each other a lot, and watch out for when mischievous friends do this and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely saved the episode for me, and it ended up just being like a lot of fun to write and a lot of fun to edit, and it just going from an episode that I didn't think was going to be very good to being my favorite. Like it turned out way better than I thought it was going to. I just had fun with this. It's different from the others, and it was just fun to make.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the most fun out of all of them. I noticed that you use 8-bit music for everything in this. Was there a particular reason you decided to do that?
Yes, I believe, because again, I was still having that issue where the audio was out of sync.
You can use a magic spell to create
and so I needed some sort of sound, and so instead of, I just, decide, well, I'm just going to have to forget about the sound effects, no sound effects. And instead I just used 8-bit music, and I think that was also part of it that I liked. Like, it just kind of gave it even more of an old Mario feel.
Yeah, it feels like very much of the time period.
And so yeah, that was kind of a technical consideration that I turned into a creative choice.
Right. And you kind of play on that a lot, throughout when you would like refer to this game as like, or the other games as like Super Mario 6 or whatever. Like you give everything like a numbered entry.
Right.
The Icing World.
Yeah, I came up with my own names for all of these. Because it's, in Super Mario Brothers 3, the Japanese and US versions have different names for the worlds. And the guide actually uses, if I remember correctly, the US name, or the Japanese names. So, like, in the US version, they just say, like, Dark World, Grass World, Desert World, or whatever, or Desert Land, I forget. But then, in the Japanese version, it's like Desert Hill. It's not just land or world. It's, and I think, like, instead of, like, Waterland or Waterworld or whatever they call it, like, Seaside or something like that. Like, they have, like, an actual more creative name in the Japanese version.
You can spread out and more quickly jump on the real one.
So I didn't know that this boss fight, that you knew which one was the right one, was because of the bow until I watched this.
After you defeat the first Boldy Rock in Rock World,
Boldy Rock.
Boldy Rocks will dig
Yeah.
out of the ground.
So it's like, I like that you call like a lot of things by their classic names that they're no longer
Well, I'm pretty sure that was a name I just made up.
But I mean, later on when you call like the Boos, like call them Boo Diddley.
Yes.
Like, I don't think they're called that anymore.
No, they aren't. They were only called that in Mario 3. Maybe in World, but I don't think so. I think just Mario 3.
Watch what happens.
I mean, I'm just like such a huge Mario fan, and like, I mean, I made like a Mario animated fan film in college. Like, I think way too much about like the Mario universe and all this kind of stuff. Like, so I had a lot of fun, like, you know, getting to reference the names and stuff because I'm just like needlessly obsessed with this stuff.
Grab a boomerang flower to wear a Boomerang Brothers suit.
I don't know if you can hear it, and if it comes through on the recording, I'm sorry that there's like fireworks at the baseball game across the river. You can hear like the occasional like explosion every Friday night.
Don't worry.
They have
this power-up is just
fireworks.
for fun, but make sure your friends don't stop you.
And it just sounds so much louder coming through the microphone and into my headphones.
Before time is up. If you were playing alone, you would need to rely on cherry clones to move these platforms.
This was a great game. Like, have you played it since the marathon?
I played a little bit just to record some extra footage for this episode. Like, I played like the first 1.5 to 2 worlds. I would love to play it again, single player. I mean, not that multiplayer is bad, but like all of these multiplayer Mario games, like multiplayer is fun, but you just think about the game so differently. Like the approach is completely different.
Yeah.
So I really do want to play it single player, just, you know, because it'd be a totally different experience. You know, actually playing through Captain Toad, like, interestingly enough, like it has so much shared DNA with this game that
yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same engine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like,
it's just the whole same segments.
Yeah. It kind of gave me a little more love for this game because, like I say, I was just so confused when I played through it. Like, it was very strange circumstances that I played. So I just didn't really have a solid idea what. This is one of my favorite parts.
The only one walking on the platforms, she will have the advantage in safely navigating this doomship graveyard.
She will have the advantage of safely navigating, which is true, but then I fall off the edge. I'm pretty sure that was me playing as Peach at that time. We alternated characters like constantly over the course of this playthrough, so it's not like any one character is any one player.
Before he has a chance to do anything.
Oh, here we go. The lava world. This is like where I always would remember certain things. Actually, no, it might be later on. It might be the Bowser world. There's one
part that you kept bringing up on.
Yeah, that I would just remember every time.
If you have a Pro Toad player on your team like the one
I like the Pro Toad player.
I forget if that was me. I think it was me. It had to have been me because I'm not the best cooperator. I'm not intentionally, but like I'm just like I gotta get out of here, you know.
It's much more difficult to spread out your team.
Challenge to stay alive. This is kind of jumping ahead, but
keep your cool.
I was so proud of myself for this happened during our playthrough.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
fitting that in there?
We killed Bowser. I mean, that's something that actually happened. I mean, all this is just stuff that actually happened, but that was one of the most unbelievable things that we beat the boss. And then the timer still keeps going and we ran out of time. But anyway, this is jumping ahead, but in the final Bowser fight, you know, he turns into Cat Bowser. And I was so proud of myself.
Or King Meowser.
I was so proud of myself for coming up with the name King Meowser. And then
that's pretty good.
And then it turns out that is the official name for him. And I came up with that.
You didn't know the whole time.
I had no idea that was his official name, and I was like, oh, man, like, it's cool that it's his official name, but I'm also kind of disappointed. You know, it's amazing, like...
Oh, here it is.
Supposed to stay alive on the rolling grumblumps.
The rolling grumblumps. Like, every time I would make a copy of this, every single time, like, that's the line that would stick out in my head, is like, stay on the rolling grumblumps. The rolling grumblumps every single time.
And that is, I'm pretty sure, the official name of those things. I think it's on the name of the level when you
Yeah. But still, like, it's...
highlight it.
King Meowser will dash up the building.
I can't believe... So you actually, like, thought of the name King
I
Meowser.
did, and like, I guess it's just like so obvious that it's like the official name. This blew my mind when all of a sudden there were multiple Bowsers. Like, I was like, holy crap! Like, this is a good fight. Like, just like the Cat Bowser part was cool because I don't think Bowser has ever used Mario's powers before. I mean, that was a great idea on its own, but then like using the Bowser clones, like I was like, whoa.
Block 3 times to catapult King Meowser into oblivion.
I was just also thinking the world map music for Bowser World is like one of my favorite things. Like every once in a while I just go to YouTube and find one of those looped versions.
And here's Shane Lewis's commercial for 1-800-HOP-FAST. This one he posted up on his YouTube before like I'd even seen it. Like he made it for the video, and it looks very much like a kind of 80s kind of, I want to say like a porno line almost. Like the way that the words come up, like call tonight. But instead like blockbuster game titles, like all these like really bad games. There's definitely just like footage that he had laying around from his like positive series.
Yeah.
But you're a nudist, and the law frowns on that. Call 1-800-HOT-FAST.
I love how like the
get your games
the words fly in right here.
The hedgehog-like speeds. Call 1-800.
I like the part that says only available in areas that are close to my cousin's house.
Yeah.
How to beat 1001 Spies.
And this is the last one. This is the last segment.
At the backlog room. Take control of the brave Yvonne Hawkins.
You know, I had no idea that the main character, like I haven't played this game, but I had no idea until you wrote your script that the character was called Yvonne Hawkins. But then, isn't the full title of the game Yvonne
Hawkins and the 1001 Spikes?
Right. I shot that on my VCR editing tape deck that does not work.
Equipped with a slow motion feature.
Tapping the slow-mo feature.
Yeah.
You know, I just was playing Spelunky on the Backloggery stream this week. Like I couldn't stop thinking about this how to beat video like the whole time. Like I kept thinking my character's name should be Yvonne Hawkins.
You begin with 1001 lives.
This is a great game, but let me tell you, this was extremely difficult to get through in the amount of time that I had, because we were riding, like this was the next video after Shovel Knight, and we were kind of riding a high on that success, so we knew we wanted to get another one out quick. And this was one I'd already started capturing, and I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Like it fits perfectly, but it's like such a hard game.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think we had a lot of requests for this.
They will be one of the toughest trials you will face.
Or at least one or two.
Yeah, maybe like one or two. I don't recall. But it was like, it was a really hard game, and I feel like I was very proud of myself after finishing it. Even though it's like there's like I only finished half the game because it opens up like a whole nother like world map full of levels after. But I obviously didn't cover that.
Oh man, I don't think a real VHS tape would have been anyway.
Right.
So they fall separately.
So, do you not fall off a ledge automatically?
So always be on guard.
Or,
no, you do.
Well, it looked like you were inching toward on those moving platforms. It looked like you were like pushing against them.
Well, it requires like a lot of very precise maneuvers. The gameplay is super tight on this game. Because it needs to be. It feels like a NES game. And it, it's very close to being an NES game. Especially, I think, like the main character sprite looks like so much like an early NES game.
Yeah, they really pulled off that aspect very accurately.
This block to fall. Don't let it hit you. This switch will release the scorpions from their cage. It's better to jump over them than to fight them. Time your
But much
jump
like
in between the poison darts.
Hotline Miami, the reason, like this one was easier to edit
You can't make
because
this
all I
jump
needed
pick up the
to
skull.
do was look for my successful attempt for the level.
Right.
And then I just back up and cut that one into like 3 different hints. Because you have to start the whole level over every time you die.
Do you think this is one of the most actual helpful videos we've done?
Skip the level and come back at a later time.
I don't know.
You can use your throwing daggers to deflect the poison.
Because,
It's certainly not as helpful as it could be.
but like, I mean, I think first and foremost, like these videos they're entertainment first.
Yeah, but we've had a lot of people say, "Oh, you know, like this really showed me some certain things that I didn't know,"
Right.
which is not really what we intended, but it's cool when that happens.
Right. Like, yeah, I mean, it's entertainment first, but at the same time, we have to make, like, for it to seem legit, we have to, you know,
Can't reach this block just by jumping.
it needs to be helpful, but it doesn't have to be too helpful.
This level here, a thing that helped me is there's a YouTube producer named Sunder that does a show called Levelhead, where he like analyzes and breaks down like single levels. And he did one on a level in this game. And I was like, I recalled certain things that he said when I was playing through that specific level.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Almost lost his hat here.
Yeah.
Watch closely.
Like, what else are you going to be paying attention to?
I think is that a phrase that they actually used on the tapes? I want to say, or something similar.
I don't know. This one is actually a video that I did after I got that book, that the actual game player's hint book.
Oh, that's right.
So there's certain like things that I say in this that are directly from the game player's hint book.
Right. So Corey and I discovered these books by game players, and we each got one just to give us a little bit of inspiration. I'd love to find some more. I just think they'd be fun to collect.
Yeah, but like the hints are very similar, but we just like love how they're worded.
Right.
Game Players was like the ultimate inspiration for these.
Careful not to touch it. These switching orbs are something you haven't seen yet. Hitting them with your dagger will reveal invisible platforms.
Like we have.
I like that I call them. I like that I call. Oh, here's the slow motion right here. And that's just like a fake slow like pause sound that I made. I just like went to like a website and where you can like make.
Like there's no actual feature for that in this game.
No.
Watch closely as our game master demonstrates.
You're our game master.
Yeah.
I love how we like, you know, kind of talk about like, you know, oh, we're like so good at these
The game
games.
pros.
Yeah, we're so good, but
But I feel like that's what they would have done. You know, like they're the best. Because there's no internet.
yeah,
So
how do
of
you
course
know that?
you have nothing.
I mean, you're the best person you know.
Wait until the
Yeah.
welcome statues are at the highest point of their jump. Go
This
now.
was like so many of these levels. Too bad you can't even see my life total, like slowly, like or rapidly going down.
You're going to need quick reflexes to block these darts with your daggers. Once again, you must time your run across the spikes. Keep your
So
eyes
somebody
focused
told me
on
in the
safe.
comments for this that you can always tell where spikes are going to come up because
The
there's
blocks will begin to
a
fall as soon as the stage begins.
skulls on the ground there, like people have been killed there.
Strike the switch with your daggers. Don't stand around. Spikes are hidden in the floor.
Spikes
Or
are
like
hidden
in the
by-
surrounding area.
To reach the key, use your daggers to reflect the darts as necessary.
What system did you play this on?
Is now yours.
I played this on the
One more to
PS4.
go. The adventure continues and the danger grows in the depths of Ucampa. Make it to this small platform before activating the second switch.
It should be noted, I guess, as we're kind of winding down here, that all these were remastered from the original HD
Yes.
masters that we had of these. And actually, some of those original HD masters we didn't even know we had anymore. We were very lucky to locate them.
Our obviously, I'm not going to be able to be present during the commentary on this, but are you going to be able to sync up this commentary to an actual VHS quality version on the...
Yep. Yeah, it will be a VHS quality version that people are watching right now, hopefully.
See, I think it's so funny that, you know, we started My Life in Gaming after getting the Framemeister and getting this awesome capture setup, and our very first idea for the whole thing is to completely undo all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, just the look of VHS and the look of old video, like, it's just very nostalgic for me. And
yeah,
even
same
though,
with me.
even though I don't want to play that way on an everyday basis, I still just enjoy it.
Right.
And I mean, this is an idea that we had, like, long before we even really seriously considered doing YouTube videos. And
yeah, we were talking about it like a long time ago.
like, we were just like, Corey showed me some YouTube copies of those How to Beat tapes, and he's like, I had these as a kid, like, I was watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And he said, wouldn't it be great to do that with modern games? And like, when we started thinking that YouTube was going to be a pretty fun thing for us to do, like, that was the first idea that we went to, and I think it was a good choice, because
Yeah, it's a good starting place for us.
right, because
sure.
you know, we didn't feel ready to, you know, doing the whole presenting type thing, and it was an easy way for us to get a little early attention before we really felt ready to try to do other things. Which,
Right.
I mean, that kind of stuff was stuff we wanted to do all along, but we didn't feel ready for it. And I think the novelty of this definitely got a lot of people watching us. Whereas if we had just started with, you know, just us on camera, I don't think it would have.
It turns out that
I don't
Right,
think,
it would have been a much more difficult, like, kind of...
yeah.
It's like a good way to kind of separate us from, like, the typical kind of content.
Right. Because, I mean, we could have made, you know...
This is the only one where the actual ending slates show up. The actual, like...
Oh, and then this is at the end.
Then we have the... This was our channel trailer for a good 8 months.
Yeah.
I got that phone at Goodwill for 50 cents.
You know, I really like...
And this number is actually like the game player's hint line number.
Mhm.
It's like the real number.
But I was going to say, you know, I like, you know, kind of old-fashioned looking phones. If you look at those in antique stores, like, old rotary dial phones are expensive.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. So that's that,
That's it. Yep, I kind of put like a scrolling credits here so we can, you know, like, credit everybody who contributed commercials. We're very thankful for all that.
Made it a complete and unique product.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've never made anything like this before, and it was hugely rewarding to do it.
I can't wait to see the stack of tapes in person.
Well, hopefully they go pretty quick. If you're going to be at too many games, better get there quick if you want to get one of these.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, thanks for listening to our audio commentary. All right, take care, everyone.
Good night.